So this is Space Invaders, the 36th Famicom game. This game was not released in the US. I believe this is a Namco game. Oh, this is Taito. This is a Taito game. Actually, it should say on that guide, shouldn't it? Right? By the way, we haven't really been talking about the developer for all these games. Let's go back and just like list them all real quick. The first 16 games for Famicom were all made by Nintendo. So that was Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Popeye, Gomoko, Narabe Renju, Mahjong, Mario Brothers, Popeye no Ego Asobi, Baseball, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Tennis, Pinball, Wild Gunman, Duck Hunt, Golf, Hogan's Alley, and Donkey Kong 3. All made by Nintendo. In fact, the first year of Famicom was released, only Nintendo made games for it. It wasn't until the second year that other developers started to like actually release games for the system. And the first developer to do that was Hudson Soft. And quickly after, the second one was Namco. And they were primarily just like porting over their arcade hits. But the second year was still like mostly dominated by Nintendo. So you had Donkey Kong 3, Nintendo. Nuts and Milk and Lode Runner were Hudson. Galaxian was the first Namco game. Devil World and F1 Race were both Nintendo. Pac-Man was Namco. Fornin Uchi Mahjong was Hudson. Which is weird because the first Mahjong game was Nintendo. Zevious was Namco. Urban Champion was Nintendo. Mappy was Namco. Clue Clue Land, Excite Bike, Balloon Fight, and Ice Climber were all Nintendo. And then we come to the third year, 1985. Well, actually, no. Ice Climber and Balloon Fight were part of 85. But yeah, the third year, Exerion is Jalico. Jalico was the third-party developer. And their first game was Exerion, pretty weird game. Then Galaga by Namco. Raid on Bungling Bay was Hudson Soft. The original Raid on Bungling Bay was a Broderbund game, or was that no? It was a Will Wright game. I don't remember what his company was called, but it was ported by Hudson, and I think the game was probably usually when they ported games like that, they kind of redesign them. You love remembering games and music. When you got Mario 64, you listen to Beck's. It's basically the soundtrack. You missed out on like a really good soundtrack then if you listened to Beck's. I mean, I remember that album. It was a good album, but Mario 64 has really good music. That's like... It is funny though, whatever you listen to... Oh, I missed the Brigands' suggested catchphrases for me. Get off the road! New Twitch sucks! Those are good catchphrases. Thank you, Brigands. We have to use those. So Formation Z was Jalico, Soccer was Nintendo. Yeah, what we just played was a Nintendo game. All right, so getting back to this current game, Space Invaders. This is a Taito game. I think this might be the first Taito game for the Famicom. Yeah, it looks like it is. And it's obviously a port of their arcade hit Space Invaders, which was a pretty big hit, I think, in Japan and the US. From what I've heard, this is not such a great port. It was also not brought over to the US, this particular Famicom version, and maybe there's a good reason for that. Also, the title screen for this game is really... This has to be easily the laziest title screen we've seen so far for Famicom. I mean, look at this title screen. Like, there's not even... The title is just in normal font, like the rest of the text. You can barely tell this is a title screen. It just says Space Invaders. All the other title screens so far have at least had like a logo. But this is just nothing. Like, you can really tell that they just didn't know what they were doing or whatever. I mean, to be fair, this was their first ported game for the Famicom. Anyway, let's try it out. Oh, yeah, let's take notice of the fact also that there's no options. The only option is just 1 or 2 players. And 2 players is just the same game, but it alternates. So, essentially, there's no options for this game. Like some of the other games we've seen so far. So, this is Space Invaders for the Famicom. Something that was pointed out on Nintendo is that one of the things that may make this a bad port, and it's been a long time since I played the original Space Invaders, but it seems like since the aspect ratio of the NES was different from the arcade, which is probably more vertically based, it seems like they kind of messed up on the spacing between the characters. Maybe because they lifted the sprites from the arcade game without accounting for the different aspect ratios. Like they kind of stretched everything out to make it fit more, I guess. So it's really weird. The ships seem maybe a little bit harder to hit in this game because they're horizontally. They're not as wide as they are in the arcade game, so it makes the game harder to play and like maybe a little bit more annoying. So this game basically has no music. There was completely no music on the title screen. Oh, fuck. Right, game over. Just no music whatsoever in this game. And just some very basic sound effects, that's it. This seems like harder to play than it should be. So one strategy you can do in this game is to... They only come down towards you when they get all the way to the left or right, which they do. They gradually get faster. But if we shoot all the ships in like one vertical line, like I'm trying to do here, we can make it so that it takes longer for them to move to the left or the right, which gives you more time to actually shoot them all. You want to keep, rather than like trying to like kill them vertically, like rather than like trying to work on one vertical row at a time, you should probably work on horizontal rows, clearing them out first, I think. I think that's essentially the strategy you want to do with this game. So now that they're moving to the right, we want to like start working on killing off this other side so that they'll take longer to get to the other side and we have more time to shoot them. You can see they're moving faster now. They're speeding up, which is bad. Alright. Now we gotta start working on this side. And this game is obviously all about aiming. The more shots you only shoot one shot at a time. So the more shots you miss, the more you fuck yourself over. Not unlike a first-person shooter game that way, you know? Yeah, so now they're gonna... Even though they are moving faster, we still have like a decent amount of time to actually kill them. Because it takes them so long to go all the way across the screen, I think. I think what actually makes them move faster is simply the amount of ships on the screen. Like, the less ships there are, the faster they will move. See how fast they are now? So I could still easily die. Let's see, look at this garbage. I could still easily die. Okay, we did it. We cleared a level. Now, I believe that this game... I believe that there is nothing to it in terms of variation. I think every round is the same. Does anybody know differently? Because if every round is the same, we can just call that a victory for this game. How goes the battle flip? Hey, Skittles, it's going pretty good. We've actually beaten a lot of the games we played today. We played like, what, 5 games, I think? We played Exarion, which we beat. Galaga, which we did not. Radon Bungling Bay, which I count as beaten. Formation Z, which I definitely beat. And Soccer, which I beat. So that's 4. We've beaten 4 of the 5 games I've played so far. Not bad. And as far as I'm concerned, this game may as well be... I think beating one round of this is essentially beating the game. Because it's just the same thing over and over again. You hate to say it, but you think you'd rather play the Atari 2600 port? I might too, because I sort of remember that port being okay. This game is just not that great, you know? I'm going to be honest. I don't think that Space Invaders is really that good of a game either, quite frankly. This game is just kind of it's just annoying to play, you know? Just like aiming all the various ships is just, I don't know, it's kind of fun, I guess, but like not really, if you know what I mean. It could just be that this is a bad port, though. I mean, the fact that the ships are all like horizontal, like the ships are all squatter and more compact, kind of makes this makes it harder than it should be, you know. So that could be part of it, and I think that the 2600 version actually didn't have that problem. Fuck. So maybe the Atari 2600 version of this game is actually superior to this version. I mean, that's crazy to think about, but it could be the case. This game is just kind of lame, quite frankly. I don't know how the sound compares to the arcade version. I'm assuming that the arcade version is also pretty simplistic with its sounds, but this is just so simplistic. It just feels like they put so little effort into this port. I don't know. I mean, maybe we should probably look at the arcade version to see if there is kind of a difference. Alright, now I want to start killing the ones that are close to me now. While we still have a chance, while they're still not that slow. They just get faster and faster. Uh-oh. Fuck you! Fuck you! No! I can't hit him. Oh, so close. He could kill me so easily. Oh my god. What? They're just fucking jerks, you know. These aliens are jerks. That's what the game should have been called. It should have been called Space Invaders. It should have been called These Aliens Are Jerks. Because that's the truth. We're on round 2 currently. I'm not aware of any, like, big difference. Hey, I got an extra life. Not bad for me. Oh! The shots, I guess, get faster as you continue to progress through rounds, because that one came really fast. And there's more of them. It's a problem. Maybe they get faster earlier now? I don't really know. I guess I should try to go for the UFO for points, but it just doesn't really seem super worth it. Nice. Okay. We've whittled them down pretty effectively now. I think I'm gonna maybe give this game like a 1, honestly. This is easily the worst Famicom game so far. Do you guys... Does that seem accurate? I don't know. Is this game worse than Donkey Kong Jr. Math? I gave Donkey Kong Jr. Math a 1, right? That game should have been a 1. Fuck! You fucker! Die! Oh, what? Oh, I couldn't beat round 2. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Math is worse, but that's more software than this game. True. So, yeah, a pretty bad port. Let's just... I want to just check something out. What did arcade Space Invaders look like? Just for comparison's sake. Because we should really look at that. Sorry, let me catch up with chat, too. The arcade has much better sounds. Yeah, better sounds would definitely help. The arcade is actually in black and white. I did not realize that. This is with the volume turned all the way up. Oh, there it is. Space Invaders is a bit boring. Yeah, honestly, Space Invaders, I think, is a game that doesn't hold up as well as some other early arcade games. It is a bit boring. The sound effects, even though they're still very basic, they do seem more satisfying. Also, notice how the aliens are way wider in this version, except for the ones on the top. It makes this game a lot more playable, quite frankly. The shots sound like your table mouse. Evasive maneuvers, move left and right very quickly. Junior Math should be at least a 2, so should this. You think so? I don't know. Donkey Kong Junior Math is just so not very fun to play, though. Just not fun to... I mean, I guess it could maybe be fun in 2 players. I am open to being convinced on my ratings. Sometimes I'm just not sure myself. Sometimes it's kind of between 1 or 2 or 3 scores, and I just have to, you know, it's all subjective. You just have to think about how you feel about it, you know. And sometimes I look back and I think, oh, I should have rated that differently. So I'm open to being convinced, very open. Although I don't promise I will be. 1 is good, you think? The arcade used colored overlays to simulate color. Okay, so you're not really getting... This is not necessarily a fair representation of what it actually looked like then. Is there a way... Maybe the YouTube like shows what it looks like with the overlay? There must be a video of that somewhere.
Okay.
Hi, idiot. Show me Space Invaders. Let's see what it looks like with the overlay.
At the bottom, but you know what they... Midway key.
So an original...
Nice illusion. And then...
Quit showing me the fucking board. Quit showing me the circuit board. I want to see the game.
Sound.
Okay.
Yet another sound. Incredible. But wow, what a great game. Look how clear the characters
I see.
are.
So that's how they did it.
There we go. 2 different
Nice.
sounds. The saucer and the saucer hit. Actually, when you're fixing the sounds...
I know, I was just kidding. He's not an idiot. I was just being
nice.
jerky on
Look at how
purpose.
nice this is. And
Well, because you know, like you want to a video like this, you just want to see the game, you know. So I was being annoyed at him, but like, yeah. So we get the point. The arcade sound effects do sound like way better than the NES sound effects, and that does kind of help a little bit. I mean, I guess the game really had no music. Anyway, what did the Atari 2600 Space Invaders look like again? Check that out real quick. That I did actually play quite a bit of that as a kid. Yeah. You know what? As a port, it is kind of different, but I actually really like this. I feel like the enemies have like a little bit more character in this version. And your ship looks like a Christmas tree, but the sounds are like actually better in this game. I mean, obviously there's like a much lower resolution on things, but it doesn't really seem to hurt the game that much. Yeah, I like the sound. This I will say, this could be the only example of an Atari 2600 game actually being noticeably better as a port than a Famicom game, because I actually think that this is better for sure. It just seems way better. Alright, yeah, okay. So anyway. And what did we give Donkey Kong Jr. Math again? Let me just check that. A 2. I think I'm going to leave it at 2. I kind of want to make it a 1. But the thing that I think is maybe keeping it at 2 for me is the fact that I could see how it could actually maybe be kind of fun to play in 2 players. Alright, so Space Invaders, I think, is a 1. I think this is our first legitimate 1. Like, this is just not a good port. It just feels like no effort has been put into it to make it like... It feels inferior to the arcade, and even though the arcade is very simple, this is... It doesn't translate well. They didn't spend enough time. Like, they should have added more to it. They didn't even bother to like make a title screen that like actually looks cool. Which just goes to show how like little effort they spent on this game. I think I'm gonna give it a 1. And the music, it has no music, so maybe it should just be a 0. But we kind of saved the 0 for something incredibly like. At least it's not. There's nothing in here that's offensive to your senses. So yeah, 1-1, the worst rating so far. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is the worst Famicom game we've played so far. We did technically beat it, as far as I'm concerned. That's Space Invaders, the 36th Famicom game. Do you guys think that score is fair? I think we all are kind of on the same page on that, don't we? Maybe Space Invaders. You make a good point, Skittles. Maybe Space Invaders thinks I'm a bad port. And you know what? It might be right. Maybe we're both right.